Welcome back to the channel. I'm just Mopar Joe. Today we are on day one of our Green Goblin Week to Wicked Magic Make Your 440 run and do burnouts. That's our goal. So this belongs to Big Mike at Big Mike's Hoopty Barn, and he's hiding around here somewhere. I see him there. If you want to see his part of this special drama series that we're doing here, check out his channel. But I wanted to show you the car before we yanked the hood off. Got it wiped up a little bit so it'd be kind of the clean green machine. He's got some pretty wide tires to go on the back too, and it's just jacked up for now. So let's get into it and see what it needs. So our mission and goal for the week is get this thing running and driving. And he had this engine built, I think about 2 years ago, somewhere around there. We got to do engine mounts, some wiring stuff. He doesn't want the car, it's not a show car, it's not supposed to be a show car, but it's gonna have a fun 440 surprise in it here. I'm hoping, I would imagine this thing at least makes 500 horse. It's built pretty nicely. It's got stealth heads. They look good. But it's never started, so that's gonna be part of our process as well. But I think if we can get it bolted down, starter in, headers on, kind of work our way forward before getting into it. Everything inside should be clean, but I want to kind of look that over before we get busy. So let's get busy while we're getting busy. So we got two sets of headers. Would you prefer to try these first?
We're going to try those first.
Okay.
These headers came from Clint at Clint's Street Machines.
Yeah.
And he donated these for the Green Goblin project. Thank you, Clint. Mm-hmm. And figured, you know, we'd give them a go and see.
I'm a long,
pretty and shiny like the rest of the motor.
I know, I'm a long tube guy myself. I'd rather get that extra 20 horsepower, but these do look nice. I had a problem previously on that Cornet because the driver side hit the steering box, but well, the very first thing is hitting the block.
Oh, yeah, hold on just a second. I want to move this camera so you can see this. Yeah, it is hitting the block right there. That is not going to... Well, and you're not going to have enough room to turn a pipe through there.
Right. I mean, if that was the other deal. I mean, they're made to be like tight tuck headers, but you can clock this where it kind of gives you a little bit. Yeah. But then you have to run your exhaust real... But
then it's going to bend. It's going to bend hard. Uh-huh. You're going to have like an elbow, like a sharp elbow in there. So to make this work, we would have to grind extensively on that. Probably do away with the bolt and just run like an Allen headed deal, because it was touching, and I know that was without a gasket, but I don't know if it's the combination of this just being a 440 versus... Yeah, I think we're already in deep doo on this side. And the engine is jacked up to the point that the bell housing's touching the firewall, so I'm gonna say it's a no-go. I wanted to test fit these and make Big Mike paint them so that they would be pretty when they go up against this new engine. It just is a thing that I was after, but I can paint them too if he don't fit. But they've been clearanced already, it looks like, for the steering box, so yeah, I think we're in high cotton here. The other side should be good. They're probably comfortable. They've been massaged.
That's right. So you can kind of hear it. Big Mike's out there cleaning up our headers. We got some VHT flameproof for them. I couldn't stand to have some old crusty headers on that nice engine there, so I talked him into it. We got engine support brackets from 440 Source and a set of their polyurethane engine mounts per pair, 150 bucks. So we needed something a little more rigid because I think this thing's gonna make some good power. And I'm just gonna get them thrown in now. Since we know our headers work, shouldn't take a lot to get them bolted in. I'm hoping that they look like they're well made, well coated. Hopefully they have a decent fit. So we'll see in just a second. But on these rocker arms, the big red flag was all of the intakes are rubbing, the push rods are rubbing the actual head itself. There's zero space between there. The exhaust, they look like they're okay because it's got a longer shot to hit it, but
I've never seen this kind of rocker arms. I'm sure my people out there will tell me what they are, but I was thinking maybe a pro form or something, but they're definitely wrong. And I'm like, well, how do we know they're wrong? I did the old, see, this one was already there. I wanted to look at that push rod and see how bad it was binding, and it's got a big rub mark on it. Hopefully y'all can see that. But the I took my marker and I lifted this up and I colored to get my pattern on the valve tip. And then I took this rocker arm like this and I went back and forth. Very, very, very tip top. As in, I don't know how
Like it's too short.
Yes. So that the fulcrum. Well, for the bad, we're met with some good here. It looks beautifully brand new and clean in the valley. The build sheet that we got said it had a purple shaft cam, and there is some purple on the cam. So that's nice. These are solid flat tappet lifters that are all freed up. You can see it sliding back down in there. Tried them all. They slide nicely. That oil there looks brand new and clean, which is good. I see a little bit of black lube on the cam lobes, so I'm going to add more. They look like they're using my Iski Rev lube that I love. So I'm going to dab more into that before we push on and reseal it. And here's where, right there on that valve tip, where it was contacting. So we're going to definitely change rocker arms. Big Mike's over there cleaning up our valley pan, and we'll be back.
I do the grunt work while he does the real stuff. I'm happy with that.
He's okay with that. I can see the timing chain in here has a Torrington bearing on the back of it. If you get the right angle, you can see it. So I may squirt us a little lube in there again, just for fun. But white grease that's still wet on the distributor gear. I haven't pulled it out yet. Might as well while you're standing here, while y'all are watching. Doesn't look excessively worn or anything, so we can go back in with her. Y'all probably seen this 440 source stealth head before, because I did a couple porting videos on it. And I just got my 1.6 440 source rockers on here. That's what we're going to go back with on the green Goblin. And I just wanted to show you the much more improved line there. There we are. So that's looking a lot nicer. If anything, it's just barely inboard, whereas the other one was about to roll off the edge of the valve. So we're in a lot nicer shape this time. I'm gonna get these set up. I'm probably gonna do it on this head. They have the same retainers, and they're clear and free, so that's good. I'm gonna get them set up on this head, side to side, and be sure that my side play is still correct before I lean over that car and bolt them onto there. So it's day number 2, and this is like 4 o'clock, so we've been working all day on clearancing. Don't tell anybody we did this. Clearancing the 440 source head so the rocker arms won't rub. And it's been a nightmare. But we come to find out that they were ran like that or something in a different engine, and those half of our push rods are bent. So we got to find some tomorrow, and I've got some. But we're waiting on that. Put that off. We must press forward. And Big Mike has, there he is. Big Mike has painted our headers up real pretty, so they'll look nice up against the wonderful aluminum heads. And I'm going to lay under here and slide him one up so we can get it into place. I might also fashion his fuel line against the frame before we do that, because it's easier to drill when you got space. Here's where we ended day number 2, and I didn't get to film a lot. I don't think Mike did either. Header's on, but it's going to rub that steering coupler right there. What do you call that? And one tube right here is hitting the power steering box. So we studied on, he said he might actually have a manual box at his house, but it's 5 hours away from here. So I think what we're going to do for the week is take this header back off and massage it, but I've already bolted the starter up, so it has to come back off too, because that's how they roll together. I started to mount put the engine mount bolts in, but then I realized, hey, there's a hang up over there. This side looks good and clean and clear. Tomorrow we go to the other shop and get some push rods. That'll be correct. And should be able to get the push rods in, rocker arms on, intake on, and be closer on that deal. So all good with that. He's got a dual electric fan set up there that'll go in place. So basically this shiny pulley is just going to go on and get bolted on and be nice and trim and have one belt to run everything. Got a new alternator. Got to do some stuff with the wiring. It's kind of old and crispy, but tomorrow's a new day. Day number 3. The rocker arms and push rods are finally on, and they don't rub anymore, and they spin, and they're wonderful. So they got to get lashed here in a minute. Big Mike from Big Mike's Hoopty Barn has repainted his header after he massaged it lightly enough to clear this big old steering box. And I'm thinking we're going to have to jack it back up and slide the header back in, put the starter back on. We got new starter wires. I went ahead and hooked them to the starter because they were pretty old and crispy and would have burned the car down. So I just want to tell you that before we move forward, but I can leave this up here and let y'all watch for a minute. Here we go again. Coming up. Oh man, that's so much easier. Let me grab the starter too, because
Okay.
it's got to be a 2-for-1 special.
We have to do this in unison. And we know because we've already done it a couple times.
I'm gonna run that through. Okay. What sunshine, right? You got it?
Yep.
Okay. That's looking pretty good.
Hold on here.
You got it?
Yeah, I have this. Now I'm going to have to hold it for a sec. I need you to hold it.
You want me
Because for some reason, we don't have our gasket right here.
Uh-oh. Right there.
Oh, yeah, there it is. I got
I got the header.
Okay. Let me get a bolt in here. Back here.
Big Mike. Fast fingers.
I don't know about all that.
Ouch! Sorry.
That was Big Mike's fat fingers.
My bad.
He's just getting me back for putting this project in his garage. All right.
Well, if you get tired of it, I'll take it.
All right.
This will be the end of day number 3. The starter is tight. The header is very tight to the steering box, but he's going to put a manual box on it when he gets home. The starter wires are ran and have at least 1.5 inches or 2 inches of clearance through there. We got this hooked up. I got to hook up the torque converter tomorrow to be able to spin this thing over. And I'm sending Big Mike with a couple gas cans to be able to get some fuel to start this thing. See you then. Day number 4. It's a lay down under the car day and finish up everything. We had to go find this bracket, which it is hanging down a little more. It may not be the appropriate one, but it's going to work for what we're doing, because this has got to be centered, and he didn't have one at all. So I believe I'm going to take a little off and be able to move it up, but I can't move it up until I fix this goofy transmission cross member. It had some incorrect bolts in it, and I said I wasn't going to shame him about it, so he don't know who put those in there.
It was me.
Whenever I tighten this up, it's also going to move the transmission into place. And also he's going to have to get him a new transmission cross member before he puts any decent tires on this thing, or it's going to flop and destroy. But it is better than a part store right now, I believe, because they're really bad. So, and we also got one of my muffler sets on here. And the dipstick put in. You can see the nice shiny chrome sorta. And Mike's over there reaming one of the a washer for me. The car had that lever, which most of y'all know is for a cable operated transmission. That was on the transmission. I found this one and Mike cleaned it up. And here's our kick down lever to go on top of it. It might have a little bend to it. But we gotta have the longer lever for the stock style. He's got a slapstick shifter. So slapstick's still in place. That's why we gotta fix that swivel deal right there so it'll brace it. And we'll be shifting before you know it. You see I have here the converter marked with numbers and the flex plate marked with numbers because it was not lined up and painted ahead of time. And I went round and round and round trying to hook them up. Right now I've got number 3 converter hooked to the number 2 flex plate, and number 4 converter hooked to number 3, and I've been making a list. So I'm hoping I'm to the last one because currently number 1 is with number 4 pairing. So this is my 3rd time around. I had to mark these because I've checked them all once and went around and around with this thing. Mike has gone to the parts store getting this part, so I'm praying now that it lines up. If not, something's up with this converter. So far I've gotten 3 bolts in and the 4th one has always been off. And I know how torque converters and Mopars work. I've done it before. So let's hope and see here. Number 1, this is supposed to have number 4 written on it. 1 and 4 do not match. The other 3 are in. Okay, we understand how this works. Let's go to our list. One and 1 didn't work. 1 and 3 didn't work. 1 and 4 does not work. That only leaves one more combination. Converter number 1 with flex plate number 2. I hope it works. I'll attempt to prime the oil system. I have the gauges set right here so we can look at it. And I'm gonna turn it counterclockwise until it gets pressure, and Big Mike's gonna turn it over until we get it to the rockers, but don't start turning it over yet. There we go. Wait just a moment. Give it a second. And then I'll go slow. Yeah, there we go. It has a handle.
Oh yeah, I see oil coming up in there now.
All right, we got 75 pounds, which is good and wonderful. It's a high volume pump. You can turn it over now. Right there, look at that. Boy, yeah, you can turn it now. And I'll get a rag to catch all that oil. All the oil run down the headers. Okay, stop. Because we lined this side up wonderfully.
Okay.
But we got to line the other side up. Yeah, give us a turn, please, sir. There they come.
Yes. There it is.
I'll get another rag. Catch all that oil. There it goes. Big Mike's going to bump it over so we can find top dead center. Just touch it a little bit. And it ought to give us something. A little bit. That's it. You can turn off the key. No moss. And I got to wipe our balancer off and find our marks. We only have one mark on this balancer. So I just took some masking tape and went around it. And I folded it at the end where it meets up. I'm gonna get her out of there. And I can measure this to get my 360 measurement. Then I can mark it at 180, mark it at 90 and 90. Here's our fancy piece of tape. You can see the mark and see where I notched them. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to start this here. Line it back up on the good mark that's there, like that. Tuck it in. I gotta move that pointer a little too, it's too close. Just like that. They sell timing tape at places I hear. I don't know. I don't guess I've ever bought any because I have a timing light you can push the button on. There we go. See how nice and tight it is right there. Hold that. Put my other piece of tape on it to hold it together. And I'll tape that down to there. And we're pretty good. Like that.
Yeah. Big Mike's having a hernia.
My tape will clear. There we go.
There's our place for a 90-degree mark. Now we roll it.
Rolling. There it is.
Probably engrave it before I put the paint on it, and the paint will stick better. I got all the valves lashed, and they're looking wonderful. And we're about to put the valley plate on, or valley pan. I want to be sure we don't leave anything inside the engine here that would cause an issue for us. And I'm going to go ahead and get her sealed up. Here goes the intake, with anti-seize and all on the bolts.
Does that mean it's for now on?
Anti-seize? Just let them come out later.
Oh, it means that whenever we have to take it apart again here in a little bit?
Right.
Okay.
After you blow it up the first time.
Okay.
Because I didn't build this engine. I'm just patching it.
Oh, okay.
It's been a fun adventure, and there we go. Making it real nice. We've already lashed this valve, but we want to see what the lift is at the valve. It's a mystery cam. We know it's a purple shaft. How large is it with 1/6 rockers? There's 100. There's 200. 300. There's 4. 5. We might want to start slowing down. That's 550. That's it. 556 with a 1/6 rocker. All the plugs are in except for number 1. And Big Mike standing right there. He's gonna hit the key. The first thing I did was check the distributor. This is an old MSD, and it is locked out, so I'll know how to set the timing from that. Our battery cables are hooked up. This is the neutral safety switch currently. Bump it, Mike. A little bit. A little bit. That's it. And there's our mark. Went right past our 0. Mark's there, 0's there. And we're going to move it on down. I'll let you watch that. Locked out. I'm going to move it 20. I feel good about 20 before. So there's basically 0. And it's just a guess on the 20. So that would be 15 if 5 before that. And that should be, that's probably closer to 25. And a lot of guys are superstitious about this because they want the rotor to point at number 1. It doesn't really matter. I like to put my keyway forward and rearward like I saw Steve Dulcich tell me to do. Now that the neighbors started their lawnmower up, I can show you what this does. The little tits here go on our cap there. You probably already know that.
But I'm looking to phase that rotor. See how beautifully in line we are with that post right there. That's gonna be our number 1. And if I lifted it straight off, see our rotors right there. Tighten her down, mark the cap, number 1. So I went ahead and locked our distributor down to where I can just barely turn it. It's pretty tight. I got a hookup, it's a ready to run deal, and they had some butt connectors on there. I don't know what the deal was with that, but hooking those up to our coil, and I think it just takes 1 hot wire, and get a temperature gauge. Just leave them sitting there, it's fine. We can move that stuff later, or he can. Got to get the belt put on, electric fans hooked up. He's got some nice relays and stuff for that. This is a really nice radiator setup, nice pulleys and stuff. I did tell him later in life, upgrade this carburetor. This, it was off a running car, and I don't know if it's a 750 vacuum secondary or whatever, but if this is gonna be a nice drag racer, I want to see an AED on here. Y'all know I like those. Trans lines are hooked up. We got good tubing for that. We're gonna play with the drive shaft after. So basically just stick a yoke in the end of the tail shaft so it doesn't leak. Play with the drive shaft after it starts and runs, and we break the cam in. So getting closer and closer and closer. I'm gonna get the plug wires put on. He has a cut to fit set. It's brand new Excels. But if I stand here and make those plug wires for an hour, hour and a half, it's taking away time that we need to get this thing going. So I've got all my dyno wires over here. Most of them are still good. So it may not be pretty right now for the video, but I think it's finally time to try this thing with all the beautiful plug wires that are mismatched, and the carburetor that we had to switch on from the other one because it
was a piece of junk. Just say it. It was a piece of junk.
It poured fuel out of the somewhere. I don't care. Anyway, Big Mike, how many years has it been since an engine ran in this car?
1994, 30 years.
Wow. Okay. Well, why don't you reach in there and try to start it? All right, Mopar people.